BSides San Antonio. Before we begin, I would like to give a quick shout out to our platinum sponsors, Highland and St. Mary's, for helping to make this event possible. We are also grateful for the support of CACI. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Chrissy Conklin as they discuss what Alice and Bob found. We also have Arturo here. He's going to be helping out. Please give them a warm hand as we let them take over.
Is this on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me without it?
Yes.
Which do you prefer?
On.
On? All right, on it is. All right. Hi, my name is Chrissy. Oh, it is?
It's not blowing.
Now is it on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Red usually means on. All right, whatever. Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Chrissy. This is Art here. He is my teammate, and we represent. Oh, wrong one. Legend has it. Okay. Woo! Legend has it. We are here again. These are my teammates up here, and my daughter. We are a small team of analysts and engineers, and we provide cybersecurity services to small, medium businesses. And our pride is that we can do that, rivaling what a big organization can offer. USAA, the federal government, the platform and the analysts that we offer can rival and even exceed the skills and abilities of those. So thank you for coming. I realize that the title of, sorry, it was confusing. The title is a little confusing unless you were educated in cryptography by Alice and Bob. Anyone? No, everyone know what I'm talking about? Anyone not? I'll explain it if you don't. Cool. All right. So I was reading Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass a few months ago, and I realized that the story of Alice kind of mirrors what we do every day in cybersecurity, and especially kind of highlights how we're different at Legend Has It. So, hold on a second, I got a frog in my throat. All right, so the story is Alice kind of steps through a looking glass into a world where reality is fragmented and it's often misleading. And then because she questions assumptions and understanding of how the world really works, she learns to see connections that other people miss, right? And when I was reading this, it kind of resonated with what we have at Legend Has It, and I wanted to share that with y'all. We did, Rudy, this is Art. So what we're hoping that you take away from here is that you start challenging the prevailing assumption about cybersecurity education, the tooling, and what it truly takes to defend in this modern threat landscape, and a high-level overview of an achievable framework so that we all can do cyber better, because I really hate those bad guys who are taking advantage of people, and I hope you all do too. So I want us all to be better, or we all want us to be better, so not just me, everybody. So. All right, so why you should listen to us. I usually hate talking about myself, but I realize I have to tell you a little bit so that you can kind of take some authority out of what I'm trying to say. So here goes. I have 22 years of experience in IT and cybersecurity. 15 of those years I was in the US Navy, where I did offensive and defensive things for our country and three-letter agencies. As a civilian, I've done a lot. I feel really dizzy.
Yeah.
Woo. All right. No, guys, seriously. I'm going to sit down, okay?
Yeah.
All right. That's better. All right. So, sorry. Thank you. As a civilian, a common theme through my career is that I have built and matured security operations centers, which is kind of what I want to talk about. So, I've done that for NASA, for the largest banks in the country. I've done it for universities, hospitals, manufacturing companies. And I've done everything from sticking the server in the rack at the data center to answering the incidents at 2 a.m. on a Sunday and everything in between. So I've seen a lot. I know what good looks like, and I have a vision for we have a vision for how to make that better. My role at Legend Has It, my title is Chief Mad Scientist. That's real. It's what's on my business card, on my LinkedIn profile. The coolest job title ever. And what that means is I do research and development, and part of that research that I've been doing with Rudy and the rest of the team is figuring out how to make cyber better. So we've been running an experiment the last couple of years. Art here is part of that experiment. So I was actually a professor also. Art, again, was my student. So I'll let Art introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Art. I'm Art, also one of the experiments, right? Background that I have is 3 years ago I graduated with the Associates of IT and no prior experience. And then through a realtor, I met Chrissy or I got reintroduced to Chrissy, who was my teacher, and Rudy as well. And from there, I went from not having any experience, just knowing IT, setting up networks, routers, switches. That's what I was confident in because doing the Cisco lab courses. To now, anomaly detection, handling incidents, being an incident manager, working with a team, and writing up reports. And I basically have my hands in everything. I do a little bit of everything, and so does the rest of the team. And we all train to be able to take over one another's area if need be. And yeah, so that's my background.
Yeah, Art.
Thanks.
All right. So I'm here to help us solve a problem, right, as a whole, as a community as a whole. That problem, I'm sorry, this whole thing confuses me. All right, so the problem. Legend Has It together. So it started off smaller than the current team that we have now. When in the early days, it was Rudy and I. And how we saw the problem with cyber as a whole was a systemic issue with cyber as a whole, right? Given mine and Rudy's literal decades of experience, his experience is similar to mine, just kind of went a different civilian route. We've watched the evolution of the threat landscape and cyber capabilities over the last 20-something years, right? We've seen how it was in 2012 all the way to now. And it is completely different. The threat landscape has shifted at the speed of the internet. It's gone from that stereotypical hacker in a hoodie eating Doritos in the basement to what it is now, which is where we're literally facing nation-state armies and crime syndicates with HR, with customer management resource centers, with specialized workshops where you can pass the work through the line. And that's what we're facing, including the small, medium businesses, right? And they're being told, hey, you have to protect yourself against this huge threat. And that's not fair. So we've also seen that the tools in academia cannot keep up with that pace that the threat actors are navigating through, their objective, right? Tools in academia have to work at the speed of bureaucracy, like to get the course load approved through, even through that regional accrediting stuff that you have to go through, right? That takes years. So the curriculum is years behind what we're actually facing. Let's see here. All right, so so that is the problem that we see as a whole. After one particularly bad day at the very beginning, we needed a little bit of a beer and a rant session. So Rudy and I did that. We ranted, and then we came up with this idea that we have that I'm going to show y'all parts of today. We literally wrote it on a napkin, and we're like, screw it, let's try it out, okay? And so that's the experiment that we've been going through. So All right, so let's set the stage here. Yeah, no, I said that already about the Alice in Wonderland. I wanted that to be a little bit more whimsical than, like the shields, and the lock. I didn't want to have all those normal pictures. So these are actual pictures from the Alice in Wonderland book. So, we're going to go through a story of a pretty typical compromise that we've been seeing a lot over the last year. And we're going to do that through two different perspectives. One is Bob and one is Alice. So these are the credentials for Bob, right? Bob is he sounds pretty great on paper. These are my actual credentials, and Alice, Art represents Alice. So these are Art's actual credentials. So a person with a lot of academic and a lot of certificate education. And then Alice has gone through OJT, on-the-job training at Legend Has It. LHIT is how we shorten. We say lit, right? It's fun. So, yeah. All right, so these are the qualifications here. I'm not going to read them. It's just two versions of typical cybersecurity analysts that you see. All right, the board. So these are the platforms that Alice and Bob can use, right? Alice is what we have at Legend Has It. So we use open source where we can. We engineer our own tools where we can. And if there is a commercial product that meets our rigorous qualifications, then we'll use that as well. And it has a good return on investment, right? Like the cost of that tool is worth the force multiplication that it can provide to us. So we use Wazoo and we pump everything into it so that we have a single pane of glass. And we can see all the telemetry from our EDR, from our email, from the endpoints themselves. We get all of that in one single pane of glass. The Bob platform is the name brand tools, right? They're good tools. I'm not saying that these are bad. It's just they're not in the single pane of glass. You can't see everything. So Bob represents an actual environment that I worked in. This isn't just made up. So they use CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, Umbrella, and then in 365. All right, so the scene. So this is a scenario that is comprised of the most occurring TTPs that we've been seeing in the last year at Legend Has It, right? So it's probably pretty hard to see, so I'll just kind of read through it. And a point to remember as I'm going through these is a lot of this is invisible to a blinking light, right? So we've become kind of a common issue that we've seen is that analysts will respond to just a blinking light, and they'll only contain what is found in that blinking light. And that is what's the problem in this scene that we've created. So in Act 1, the threat actor gains access to the user account and registers their device, the TA's device in Entra. Why is that bad? It's invisible because it's just leveraging how Microsoft works. Like, threat actors have gotten much smarter than logging in from the Czech Republic or Brazil, right? They VPN or rent some space on a VPS that's in the same city as the business they're attacking. So it's going to bypass all that, and it's invisible. Step 2, the threat actor creates an inbox rule to get in the middle of a conversation. And they can also start sending out emails as that user to spread into other organizations within the contact list of that initial victim. That's invisible because creating an inbox rule is a feature. Like there's no light, there's no blinking light out of the box for creating an inbox rule. Step 3, scene 3, the threat actor downloads access codes and passwords, sensitive files onto that device that they registered in Entra. From a folder that's a shared folder. There's the shared, that's important for later. And what they do is they upload a piece of their compromise to get on the endpoint itself. So they upload a script that's going to do something for them later. And it's just a piece of a script that's not in any threat intel list. So it's not a hash that's going to trigger in the endpoint or in the AV or by EDR. So where are we at? Step 4, they're chilling there for a little bit in the 365 environment. They notice that the legitimate user clicks on a file every single day as part of their normal operating procedures. So the threat actor changes that file into a PowerShell script that will do something else that the threat actor wants. So that when it syncs to the real user's device in step 6, the next day the user is going to click on that and execute the script that the threat actor wants them to run. In parallel, what's happening here is this shared folder is syncing to all the other people that that folder shared with. Again, that's invisible too because that's literally SharePoint. You're supposed to share. It's not going to be a blinking light when something gets changed. Your SOC's not going to be informed. And then the final step is the TA gains access to the bank account, the business bank account, because in step 3, they access those passwords and the information to log into the bank. Okay. So where did the tools step in this whole scenario? CrowdStrike didn't find it at all. Just throwing that out there. So what gave the blinking light? Sentinel-1 triggered when the user clicked on the malicious file, or the file that they click on every day that the threat actor changed into a PowerShell script. However, this only triggered in my scenario because I added the hash into Sentinel-1. It didn't trigger before. I had to go in and add the hash in order for it to be quarantined. And then the user called into the security operations center saying, hey, my bank account got hacked. So do you think you can see anything there? They didn't link those two things together, right? The Sentinel-1 hit didn't get linked with what that user called and reported. So we're going to look at what this looks like from Alice's perspective, right? I'm not going to go through, we're not going to go through it in depth. I'm just going to kind of show you that because, because we have a single pane of glass, we were able to, how do you push play over here? Oh, is it playing? Oh, there it is. Okay, so because we have, in Alice's platform that she uses, all the telemetry going into a single pane of glass, this entire scenario, with the exception of the bank account being compromised, is in this list of logs. We can see that entire story here in these 63 lines of logs. The analyst is able to piece together exactly what happened, see the entire compromise, and know exactly what needs to be remediated. So I did create an extremely specific query in order to put these 63 lines of logs into one pane of glass, right? And that's not real life. That's not how analysis works. So Art's going to tell you how we would go through an investigation like this in order to be able to find all of this, because it's not going to be in a nice, pretty little short picture for you in one screen. Ready?
Yep. Going through a real life investigation here, put some screenshots from a real compromise that one of our clients experienced. I'm not going to go too in depth about each log. Instead, I'm just going to give an overview about what's needed in order to handle compromises and then navigate the situations. And so there's one thing that we do differently compared to everyone else, and that's we have many different clients, and each one has a different line of business. And so knowing the landscape, not just devices, software, or their cloud environment, but also their line of business, right? And putting that context, adding that context when you're interpreting the data that you see here. And so another point that I'd like to point out is understanding the tools and the info that's brought about within those tools. And that way you can effectively look for whatever you're hypothesizing and any might discover any new tactics that a TA, or because not everyone acts the same, right? So everyone's going to do something a little bit different. And with gathering all that, you can then say we have full containment of the compromise, and then you're able to remediate effectively. And so here in this example, since going back to knowing our clients, we know the location they operate out of. We have the devices. We also know other devices that they sign in from that are not monitored, like maybe phones, tablets, personal computers. Those are all questions we gather from them. And so when it comes time to compromise, now we're able to separate the activity, the threat actor activity, from the client's activity, and we're able to give an accurate date of when, or a time frame of when it all started, and then now we can start tracking down every action that was done. And so here, what you see highlighted, that's the anomalous IP that comes from a virtual hosting provider, right? And I believe the geolocation here was within the United States. And so how we detected this was through one of the detections that for inbox rules, this is like a trend that we've been seeing for quite a while. And we call it a high fidelity rule, meaning, or high fidelity detection, meaning that when we see this inbox rule and the parameters and values that are contained within it, that specific pattern, we can say with full confidence that is threat actor activity, and then we can go in and start the containment process and tracking it all down. And so here, I also like to point out that something new, going back to TTP that Chrissy was talking about, which was in this specific compromise that the threat actor, as soon as they signed in, they registered 4 devices to Entra. And that was something that we hadn't seen, but we noticed it because of the enrichment within our logs, and that we were able to identify which activity belonged to the TA and which one was to the client. And then after that, you can see a new inbox rule was created, which was grab messages from this sender, or grab messages containing this specific word, like banking and finance, and then placing them within a specific folder, call it this name that doesn't bring any attention to the user in the UI of their email, such as like a comma or a period, and then mark those emails as already being read, not to draw attention to the user.
Talk about how you find the IOCs and pivot between the logs in order to grab the whole story.
Oh yeah, so how I go about finding the IOCs is that, one part of it is we gather all the anomalous IPs, like in this scenario, and what's the common link between all of them is, because I know what information is within these logs, I look at session ID, and because the user had their account compromised, and the way it was done was that their session token was grabbed, and then it was being replayed over and over again. And so this reactor would say register devices and play that token over again and come from VPN IPs as well.
Yep.
And so that was a link. That's what we have highlighted here is the session ID of all that activity, and then we can trace it back, and then we can also see how this all started. And from this was a phishing email, and so we were able to see the information, such as right here, I have message IDs, so we can see the specific email that was read and at what time it was read, by who was it read, And right here in the screenshot, it was read by the threat actor. And the beginning part, we can also see that it was by the user, maybe I believe on their iPhone. And then we later get with the user, confirm the activity. They say, oh yeah, that email was pretty weird. And we're like, okay. So with that, we.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here's the registered devices. And with knowing that a phishing email was a compromise, we're able to go to our other tool, email security tool, quarantine that email, and then if there are any attachments, we grab that hash, and then we can use that hash and put it within our endpoint security tool, like how Chrissy described, where there's a file. We put that within our endpoint security tool, and that tool looks throughout all our clients for that similar hash, and that's how we can effectively go out through everyone and contain and then remediate the situation.
So the point is that all of the information to identify what a threat actor did isn't just in one log. And you have to know what is in that logs to be able to tell the story, because a session ID isn't in every single kind of log. So you have to be able to, what's that meme with Charlie Day like pointing and there's the lines behind them, you know, like the conspiracy theory? Like it's what we're doing, right? You have to connect session ID to a device ID over here, because IP sometimes is the threat actor, sometimes it's from Microsoft. So you have to know what's in the logs and pivot through the logs to be able to tell the story. And that's what Art is good at, and the rest of the dudes too. So what Alice could see was everything. Alice could see everything in this story. The bank account thing, if Bank of America would send us their logs, I would gladly accept them. So if you work for them, like, let's talk after. So, all right. So Bob, first of all, Humpty Dumpty. I don't know if y'all ever Googled Humpty Dumpty, but there are some creepy images of Humpty Dumpty on the internet. So that was not a fun day for me to look at it. But so what Bob could see, right? And Bob, he is good. Like he knows some cybersecurity stuff because it's me, right? But I don't have the tools to see what I need to see. So the only thing that Bob could see was the Sentinel-1 detection after I added the hash, right? And the information in here isn't enough to link me to anything with OneDrive at all. There is nothing in this detection that tells me that my source was OneDrive, which, if it did, would tell me, hey, maybe I need to look at 365 also. But it literally synced to the downloads folder, and the Sentinel-1 doesn't recognize that that was because of a OneDrive link or sync. So, and then with regard to the inbox rule, here on the, what is that, y'all's left, my left, whatever, this side over here, this is what we see in our platform. This is the log for the inbox rule, same time, and this is the 365 tenant. It's not in there, right? So we're not going to see it. And if you don't have an E5 license, you're not going to see any of the other crap either, right? You're not going to see the regular logs. You're going to, like, so you're kind of screwed if you don't have E5, which is most of our clients, right? SMBs, and they need to be protected too. So if you
get the office logs directly from the device,
we're getting office logs through API through to the using a graph. If you do have an E5 license, this is what it looks like in that. Does anyone like using Microsoft? Yeah, it sucks, right? Okay. All right. This is that story here, right? It only sees, it does see the inbox rule, which is dope. And it sees some weird login. It doesn't see any of the file operations. It doesn't see that emails were sent out to clients. It doesn't see any of that. So even in Microsoft, in its own environment, where the crap is going down, it doesn't see it. It doesn't tell you. So it sucks. You need to be better than that. So what Bob could see, this. That sucks. And you die. All right. So if you can't see something, say something. Be noisy. Say, hey, I need to be able to see this, or I'm not going to be doing my job right. And then just a quick public service announcement. These are the Microsoft 365 activities that link to all of that activity we've been seeing. So look for these. I think it's called, like, I know what field it is, and it's going to be in a different field in whatever sim you're using, right? But these are the activity, like the Microsoft activity field, right? So operation, yep, thank you. All right, so how do we get to Alice? Alice, if you notice, she's awake while everyone else is sleeping, right? So that's how we got to be, right? We got to be better than everybody else. All right, so our solution that Rudy and I came up with, it's not technical, it is culture. I'm sorry if this is offensive to anyone, but that is our HR policy, is don't be a dick, okay? This picture is a real, oops, sorry, that's us. I'll get there in a second. This picture is a picture of a man that I saw in real life when I was picking up my U-Haul to move out here to work with Rudy at Legend Has It. It was a sign, right? I called him, I'm like, hey, I found our HR policy, and sent him the picture, so. So what that means is we have high expectations. You have to be accountable to yourself and to the team. You have to show up with integrity, and you have to check your ego at the door, and that goes both ways. For Rudy and I as a mentor, leader, or guide, teacher, whatever we are to the analyst, and the analysts have to come right back at us, right? Because Rudy and I are getting old. We forget some stuff, and they have to keep us in check too. It goes both ways. Let's see. The single pane of glass thing does make a huge difference, right? But that's a technical solution that a lot of people, you can just, like everybody knows, like, hey, it'd be a lot easier to not have to pivot between 7 panes of glass, right? So that's a problem that can be solved. And like everyone in here is probably smart enough to figure that out. So let's see. Oops. God. I swear I know how to work computers. I just need to make sure. All right. So our culture, it kind of mirrors like a military perspective. Rudy and I were in the military for a long time. And it follows the PQS, personal qualification standard, that the military employs, and the high expectation that, hey, you're showing up for your country. You have a big responsibility on your shoulders, and you have to be present for that, right? So we have an accountability system to know your crap and to, come with this accountability and integrity and show up for everybody. And that's what the culture is. But we do also, you have to, because it is hard, right? Like when someone checks, when you're letting your ego show up a little bit and someone checks you, sometimes you gotta like, it is hard, it's frustrating. And there are days where it's like, oh my God, like you won't get off my back. But,
I think we all.
Rudy here, get off my back, man. Like when the culture is there, that, like, okay, I was messing up, and, so that's our culture. But we also do have a lot of fun, right? For everyone's birthday, we have outfit twin day, and whoever's birthday, they get to pick what we dress up as. So we've all been Rudy. We're all Rudy. We've been grandmas and grandpas. This is art. Look at this.
This is like Albert Einstein.
I know, right?
Huh? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so onesies. We had a onesie day, and then just like Byron's birthday's near Halloween, so yeah. So we have a lot of fun. All right. So here is kind of an overview of that training culture that we employ. Right? At the base is an ethos, and I'll go into a little bit further here, but we have an ethos, values that underlie everything, and we always have to bring everything back down to what our ethos is. Everyone has to have a protocol level of knowledge, right? So don't tell me DNS is the internet or the phone book of the internet. I don't want that crap. Like, you gotta know some stuff about it. We'll get into that. We have a hold my beer mentality, which you watch me do it, I'll watch you do it, and then you do it on your own, and I'll tell you when you're messing up. And then a POC or GTFO, proof of concept, or get the F out. You got to prove you know what you're doing. Yeah, and all of this only works, this rigor only works with that don't be a dick underneath. You can't be a douche about it, so. All right, the ethos, these are our ethos. Question everything. That comes down to, you gotta think like a computer. Logic-based critical thinking, right? Because we're working in computers, you gotta find your yes and no's, but you also gotta see the gray in between, right? You always have to ask yourself where you are in the story, right? So when that Sentinel-1 detection popped off, Bob thought that that was the beginning of his story, the beginning and the end, but really it was in stage 6. So you gotta always ask yourself where you're at in the story and how did it get there? I've seen so many times that an analyst will respond to an EDR hit, never ask, hey, how did it get here? Because it got there somehow, right? And that is a problem too. Violently forward. So there's a whole story with this too, but it became one of the, Rudy fell and I laughed uncontrollably because he fell violently, and that's how I described it. He fell violently forward. It was really inappropriate for me to laugh because he really hurt himself. It became one of our pillars of our ethos, but it's about innovation. We start off with manual processes, figure out how to make it faster, cheaper, sexier, and always challenge the status quo. Don't let people say, "Oh, that's how we always done it." That is terrible. That is
For it to not be done.
Exactly, right? Own your flaws. We're humans. Everyone messes up. You know where you're weak. Own up to it and shore that junk up. And if you know you need help, ask. If you know one of your teammates is weak in something, then you help them, right? We have to shore each other up and own your own flaws. Unleash creativity. Think unconventionally. Be like water, right? Like the threat actors are. So you need to match water with water, right? Navigate through all of that. If you come to a roadblock, figure out another way around it. If you can't ping something, or not ping something, if you can't scan something from over here, figure out how to get to it from the back end and continue with your mission. And then master the human element. Always consider the human dynamics at play. Because even though we're dealing with computers, humans are running them, right? So, the human element is a metaphysical area of operations, right? It's not a physical thing. It's not something that AI or a computer can understand or detect, and that's where being a human in this investigation can really shine. All right. Protocol level. How much time do I have?
You got 3 minutes.
Oh my God, okay. I'm sorry.
3 minutes until I was going to tell you to start wrapping it up. 5 minutes. So
Okay.
You've got 8 minutes left.
Okay, cool. Protocol level of knowledge. I was panicking. All right. Protocol level of knowledge. So for everything, we have to, everything from like DNS as a protocol to, hey, how Sentinel-1 works. You have to know how it works, know how to break it, know how to detect it, and how to prevent it from breaking that way again. So how are y'all feeling about participating? Like if I were to ask you some questions, you going to shout out some answers?
Yes.
All right, what's SMTP?
Simple message transfer protocol.
What does it do?
Facilitates the transfer of message.
I don't want that kind of. Sends email, thank you. What ports does it use?
25.
What transport layer protocol does it ride on? Anyone? TCP, yeah. What network layer protocol does it ride on? IP, yes. What role does DNS play in email delivery?
Addressing? Through MX servers?
MX records, right? DNS holds the MX records so the servers know where to deliver the mail. All right, how can a TA exploit the DNS email relationship?
By writing a new pointer record to point information to like an incorrect area where it can be intercepted.
That doesn't really do with emails. I mean, I guess it could. That's not. I was looking for spoofing, guys. Spoofing.
Sorry.
You can spoof the domain. That's good. No, you're fine. They can do DNS poisoning, right? They can.
SPF, DKIM.
Boom. Yes. Right. So spoofing, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC would be how you prevent it from breaking. right? Make sure your clients have their records on point. All right, so that's what I mean, right? That was a real gentle, that one was gentle, guys, okay? Yeah, you need to know more than that. You should be, towing up with us. But. All right, next, hold my beer. That you watch this, or hold my beer, watch me do it, and you take notes, okay? I watch you, and then I'll tell you where to turn. Like, hey, click here, you're doing it wrong, click here. And then I'm gonna watch you do it and not say anything until you ask me for help. And I have an example here, right? We engineered a new way to monitor GWS logs. Anyone here monitor GWS? Because it's annoying a little bit. So we figured out how to do it a little bit better. So we're deploying that, right? Me and Rudy don't want to be the only ones doing that. So I showed Byron, and then I watched Byron do parts of it. And then he did it on his own, and he reached out if he had any questions. And now Byron wrote our wiki, and he is teaching the rest of the guys. And I trust that Byron can do that. I trust that everyone's going to be able to do it, and I don't have to have my hands in when Art's doing it, when Michelle right there is doing it. So because we go through that labor, we have that level of trust there. Last one, what was it? Yeah. Proof of concepts at the top. Proof of concept, or GTFO. So this is where you have to prove with evidence. Show me the logs. I'll watch you do an investigation, but you have to prove that you know what you're doing before we'll give you the authority to actually do some stuff in our environment. And this is an example, and it's not just a one and done, it's a recurring thing. So if we have a little bit of free time, then we'll shoot up a pop quiz where we'll put up a challenge, and the team has to answer that challenge, but provide the proof that that they found, or that they were able to, that they had to prove it, right?
You have till midnight to figure it out.
Yeah, and what this does is it makes them look through the logs, and it exposes you to more information that may be useful to something else, right? Because you're investigating and looking and trying to figure out how to answer this question, and you're gonna stumble across information that's gonna trigger in your brain later and be helpful. And because we go through all of this crap, we grant the team ATO, authority to operate. Because we have gone through this rigor, we have a level of trust that they can be given the responsibility to handle and manage the tooling, and that they can operate in a client environment, right? And our clients have that comfort too. So Art can go in and disable a user in one of our clients without having to reach out, because we're only going to do it when we have that fidelity that there is something bad going down. Authority to operate is what makes us lethal, right? It makes us fast and able to contain extremely quickly. So I can say all that, but I can also prove it. And this is where we get in the weeds, right? So one of the beautiful things about Legend Has It is that we've been blessed that there are organizations that we do not monitor that let us pull in their logs so that we can do research. We have different environments, from they have no security anything to a platform exactly like ours, just with different analysts and a lot of stuff in between. So I was able to look at that data and actually measure the difference between what we do at Legend Has It and what organizations with different kinds of cultures do. Those impacts are financial, whether or not complete remediation has been achieved, and a metric that I don't know if it exists, but I made this up: mean time in a compromised state. And here's the nerd math. I really like math, but how you measure mean time in a compromised state is we have a timestamp, right? So containment time minus the tactic execution time. So when the threat actor does something, I take that timestamp. When Art remediates something, I take that timestamp and then divide it by the number of tactics that were actually executed and add those together. 1 minute, oh, and this is, okay, all right. This is a better way of measuring. So, because it actually shows the risk that the organization was in and the damage that was actually done. It's not measuring the SOC. It's a measurement for what the client is experiencing. And so I did some other financial math too, which I can explain after if y'all really want to know. But this dude over here is telling me to hurry up. So, so bottom line, like it costs us. We remediate that mean time in a compromised state for Legend Has It is 5 hours and 3 minutes. And in our environment, the average is 50 days, 11 hours and 16 minutes. And this is up to this moment right now. And it's only going to continue going up because there are tactics that have not been remediated at all in our lab environment. That financial impact, this isn't how much it's going to cost. The financial impact is just, it's a metric that resonates with people, right? This isn't like the cost of the thing. It's just to show that, hey, it would cost $20,000 here, $81,000 here, without the Legend Has It culture, right? And the culture is what makes the difference because there is an environment that has the exact same tech stack that we do. So this culture works. It's dope. I love working there, right? I love the challenge. So thank you. All right.
You're done.
Thanks.
You're done.
Exactly. Here you go.
Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you both for presenting.
Yeah.